Hi, everybody. It's 5 o'clock, and I am going to continue to let people jump into our meeting here. So you'll keep hearing the dinging as people join us. I love to see all the people. It's already 36, 37, 38 people. So it's exciting. We're going to be traveling soon. I am going to go ahead and just give people a minute to get in here to make sure we've got as many as we can. And then I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint of some slides. My objective today is to make sure that you have some basic information and about our traveling in general, but also any of the information that I have up to this point. So I think I've got some new information that'll be helpful and definitely makes it feel like we're going to be ready to get moving, hit the road here in 4 months and just a few days. So let me give one more minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and start working through a presentation to just make sure everybody's got some basic info. And just to make sure you know, we will have another meeting. It might be an email or it might be a Zoom in December, but then we will have an in-person meeting in February. Our pre-departure meeting will be in person. There will be some documents that I'll need from everybody at that time, and money at that time. So we'll make sure we've got everybody together in one place in February and have a chance to see everybody who's traveling, see chaperones, all of that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get started, folks. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will take a look at them. What I'd like to do is go through the slides, try and answer as many questions as I can. And I want to make sure that this is not a time-consuming event for you, that we may be done by 5:15, 5:20 at the latest. We'll be done at 5:30 to allow everybody to kind of get on their way. And again, just before we jump into the details from today, just a reminder that we will have another email or Zoom update in December. We'll have another one in January, and then in February, we will have an in-person meeting here at the high school, so that we can turn in forms, passport copies, all of the documents that we're going to need. Last opportunity to kind of ask those questions before we start packing bags and getting ready to head out during spring break. So I will send this out to everybody on our email list. So if you've got a student, or if you're the student and the parent is unable to be here, you'll be able to go back through and look at the information everybody else saw today as well. Just want to make sure we've got everybody feeling connected and knowing where to go if you have questions about this exciting trip. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm Connie Sievertson, just again, in case we haven't met, but I think we've just about covered everybody. So I want to go through some information that I got from EF Tours the other day, and just make sure that everybody's got that information up to speed. So I should have had somebody do this with me so that I can put people in and do all that at the same time. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. Hopefully you can.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So looking at where we're going, we are going to be going to Paris, Normandy, and London, spring break 2024. And that literally is coming up with 4 months and I think 5 days from when we depart. So first thing I want to do is just make sure that we've got everybody ready to roll with our agenda. We're going to go through tour dates, some logistics. I want to make sure we cover passports and documentation again. That's just super important. Rooming, got some updates on that. Tipping and money. We've got some traveler to-dos and not to-dos, and then some what's coming up next. Plus, we are heading into holiday season. I know some of you out there are super organized. I used to be. I don't know what's happened to me, but I used to have all my Christmas gifts purchased and wrapped and ready to go by the time I got to Thanksgiving, and that it seems like somebody else's life a long time ago. But those of you who are still shopping, I'm one of you. there may be some good ideas for your student traveler as we get closer to the holidays. So want to go through all of these pieces of information to make sure we've got some ideas for you and that we're all on the same page as far as what expectations are for traveling.
I feel like the feeling I had this whole trip was I just feel very free, very clean. It was like a breath of fresh air. It felt ordinary, but in an extraordinary circumstance. Like this feels more normal than I felt in a long time because I'm interacting with people and going out and about. I'm eating food other than I make at home. So all those things are super impactful, but also doing things I would have never imagined doing before in my life. I feel like when we got to the airport, they were excited. I haven't seen that kind of excitement in kids for a while. When we touched down on the ground, they wanted to be everywhere and do everything and see everything they could possibly see. Over the last year, we haven't really been able to do labs. We haven't been able to work in groups. We haven't, there's so many things that we haven't been able to do. And so to actually have a group together and then travel together, for them, they changed because of it. I can't tell you how many students.
Uh-oh, keep going.
Like this feels more normal than I felt in a long time because I'm interacting with people and going out and about. I'm eating food other than I make at home. So all those things are super impactful, but also doing things I would have never imagined doing before in my life. I feel like when we got to the airport, they were excited. I've seen that kind of excitement in kids for a while. When we touched down on the ground, they wanted to be everywhere and do everything and see everything they could possibly see. Over the last year, we haven't really been able to do labs. We haven't been able to work in groups. We haven't, there's so many things that we haven't been able to do. And so to actually have a group together and then travel together, for them, they changed because of it. I can tell you how many students were like, when do I get to go back? Or I want to live there, or what other trips are being offered over the next 3 years? How can I get involved again? Because they definitely felt like this was a life-changing experience. This year in particular was really valuable for our students and having the opportunity to travel after over a year and a half, 2 years of isolation. EF got us to Iceland in the middle of a pandemic safely, and we had an amazing experience and there was so much growth. I just think that world travel is so important to really see the world and have a better understanding of the people around you.
Love it. I know I don't have to convince anybody about traveling. I literally went to Rome a week ago. EF Tours wanted to make sure that we had a really good understanding of the student experience because we're taking such a large group with us to Paris, Normandy, and London in the spring. And it was absolutely incredible. So I feel like I can speak to you from the student seat as I literally just got back from Rome a week ago Tuesday. And a couple of takeaways I felt like were really, really important that I wanted to make sure I shared with students and with families who are getting those students ready to travel. So all the reasons we travel, and I agree, I think our kids have had an unusual experience with pandemic protocols and all of the challenges that have come from all of that and the reacclimation to school and reacclimation to the world. So what an incredible opportunity. Super excited that we're going to be wheels up here in about 4 months and heading off to a fantastic 3-destination trip. And knowing that Paris is hosting the Olympics this summer, I know there's going to be a lot of hype and excitement around that. That's going to be really, really cool to be in Paris a couple of months before the Olympic opening games. So that'll be fabulous. And then off to Normandy and finally in London, and cannot wait and know the excitement is growing. Feel it, definitely feel it every day. So this is some of the new news I got. We actually got our exact travel dates. So EF Tours is now working on booking all of our flights. They will then work on booking all of our hotel locations. So we are going to travel from March 24th, which is a Sunday, returning on Sunday, March 31st. So our spring break starts on Friday of that week before. So we'll have a couple of days after school is out for students to run around and get those last items, get suitcases packed. You can have a little time with your child before we take off on Sunday. So plan for our departure to be on Sunday, March 24th, returning on the following Sunday, March 31st. So families will be responsible for getting students to the airport. We'll tell you when we get all of our flight details. What we do know is none of the regional planes would accommodate our entire travel group to get us all to the next major airport. So example, we may have some of our group leaving from Indy going to JFK in New York to catch the flight to Paris. We'll have another part of our group going from Indy to Newark to catch a flight to Paris, and then maybe we have another group going through Atlanta. So we'll have a couple of different flights, just because if you've flown out of Indy recently, you know that the kind of regional jets just would not hold our entire party and anybody else who is traveling. So EF Tours will work on all of that now, with the idea being we leave from a couple of locations on the eastern side of the US, and we all end up in Paris within a couple of hours of each other. Oh, my light just went off because I'm moving around. Hang on. There it goes. Energy saving. Okay, so we know the dates. That's exciting. We're planning on being out on the 24th and back on the 31st. Passport, super important. If you have not gotten your passport yet, please make this a priority. You will probably have to pay for the expedited processing at this point to make sure that you have it in hand before we travel. I literally just had to get my passport updated. I thought I could sneak in, but I'm under the 6 months. So when we come back on March 31st, you have to have at least 6 months remaining on your passport. I did not. So I literally have the paperwork in my drawer to get sent in the next day or two. Passports have to be submitted to EF by December 5th. If you cannot make that date, let me know. The biggest issue with this will be a ferry booking that's going to take us from France to the UK. And we have to have the passport for that booking. So that, again, we're good for right now. Once you get to the airport, your passport will have to be scanned in for your flight. So obviously you have to have it on travel day, but ahead of time, we do need to have it for booking the ferry crossing that's going to take us from France to England when we make that last transition in our trip. Again, any questions with passport, hit the State Department website. Ask if you have any questions. The EF Tours site is super helpful. Their customer service is just fantastic for helping us get all of that squared away as well. Okay. For rooming, thank you very much to all the students who sent in their rooming requests, their roommate requests. I say again, I cannot guarantee that I can get you with everybody or anybody on your list. I worked through the preliminary pairings and matches for groups of 3, 4, 5, 6 over the weekend, and fingers crossed, it looks like everybody has a great setup to allow for roommates with everybody that you asked for, and those that are random. We've got great combinations for people who will be matched with students, might be the same grade, might be same courses. So it looks really, really good. Fingers crossed that nothing comes up that interferes with that. So it looks great. Thank you for turning that in. I will shut that off at the end of the day today, so that from this point forward, I'll just make adjustments to rooming as needed. And again, it's always going to be same gender based on your passport. And because we don't know the exact configurations of rooms, we will have to make some adjustments once we get on the road too. Once we're en route, if we have hotel adjustments, we'll do that. And that's where all the chaperones will come in as well. All of our adults will be 2 to a room. And again, that's based on gender as well. We have one parent traveling with the child for health reasons, and they will be roomed together. Everybody else will be all students. All the chaperones will be roomed together as well. Okay, tipping and money. I will collect money from each of our student travelers when we meet in February. So it actually says next meeting, but it'll be in February. So what we will do is collect money to tip our tour director. That's the person that will meet us at the airport in Paris and will stay with us through all of our Paris trip, all of our travels to Normandy, and across the channel to London. And this is the EF expert that will be with us the whole way, and they are amazing. We will also pay for local guides who will take us on tours of their specialties. And then we'll have bus drivers that will be part of our tour that will be with us every step of the way as well. So the comparison that I would make is that in the US, when you go out to eat dinner, you typically tip 15 to 20% because the wait staff does not get typically an hourly wage, or if they do, it's way below the national requirement. So our wait staff, I've got a son who waits tables, and he relies completely on tips for his income. In Europe, their waiters do not rely on tips. They actually are paid a living wage, and they do not have to rely on tips. So when you eat in Europe, you don't have to leave a tip. If you have extraordinary service, you might leave a 10% tip, and that would be like a wow for the server. Flip that whole idea when we're talking about transportation. So those who transport us here, our bus drivers, our tour directors are paid their living wage. We typically don't tip for those services. Again, if you want to, you can, but it's not expected. The reverse is true in Europe. The tour guides, the bus drivers, all of the local guides, they basically live on their tip money. So that's the way that it's set up. That's how they do their licensing. So we will have every traveler be responsible, and that students, chaperones, all of us will pay for tipping. And it's been calculated to be 88 euros, not dollars, but 88 euros. And right now the euro and the dollar are almost at par. They're almost 1-to-1. But you will need to go to the bank and get 88 euros for that February meeting. We'll collect all of that money so that we can pay all of our EF Tours professionals when we get there. In addition, thinking about spending money, EF says kind of depends on what your kid is going to need. So have conversations now about making good choices for spending money. Remember, breakfast and dinner will always be covered every day. Breakfast and dinner will be included. The lunch will be at students' choice. And typically we're going to be out and about every day. So it'll be up to your students what they want to eat. I will tell you, I just came from Rome, and I could sit down and pay 30 euros if I wanted to sit in a restaurant out on the sidewalk, or I could duck into a little cafe and pick up a piece of pizza and a bottle of water or a bottle of iced tea for like 6 euro. So it's absolutely doable to eat a really reasonable price meal. We definitely want kids to experience where they are. So, maybe we're standing in Paris at lunch one day, and there is basically like a food truck making crepes. Well, heck yeah, jump on that. That's a really cool experiential opportunity to have crepes in Paris while you're standing looking at the Eiffel Tower or whatever we might be doing. So we want to make sure kids have the opportunity to really immerse themselves in the culture, and that includes food. So think with your student what kind of money you're going to need. EF says anywhere between $30 and $60 per day. So that's about 25 to 55, 56 euros per day. So think about meals, that'll be lunch, and any kind of spending money or snacks. And I know kids sometimes like to get a coffee or like to get a a bottle of pop or something like that, that's what that would be for. Or if you want them to have some spending money. So you guys can start discussing what kind of a range you're going to want for them to have for each day. And this is a challenge. This is adulting. They will have to budget. So they'll have to figure out how to spend that money. Some parents have already said they're going to give their student like a debit card that they can use, or a credit card, and they can continue to put money on that or monitor their money while they're gone. So start having those conversations, what you're comfortable with and what that budget looks like from your family. And if you feel like there needs to be additional money, that's completely up to you, more or less, but basically what's going to work for your family. We'll talk some more about some of those other things that might be paramount to your how you set up that budget when we meet next month too. Okay, pre-departure checklist. This is all due by December 5th. And isn't it shocking? I know I'm not the only one. We've had this conversation. It's hard to believe Thanksgiving is literally this week. It feels like it really snuck up on us. But December 5th, remember, you can log into your EF Traveler account. We want to make sure that your passport is there. We want to make sure if you are going to try and do a room upgrade that is updated, because there's a point of no return where we can't make those adjustments any longer. I'm going to send you some additional information about health information, medications, anything that we would need to be aware of, so that we have all of the accurate, up-to-date information. Should we need it, we'll have it in our hands. If you're doing the manual payment plan, make sure you're keeping track of that, how much is left between now and our departure date. If you're doing automatic payments, those will just continue to be drawn out of your account until you're paid in full. And then again, that 88 euros that we will need for the meeting in February. And if you have, we literally have 2 spots left. So if you have a friend that wants to come with us in March of this year, not 25, but March of 24, we have 2 spots left. And when those 2 spots are filled, we are capping it and closing it. We're good at that point. We're taking so many travelers along. We're just going to make sure we've got that closed out at that point. If you're not quite sure how to do it, log into eftours.com/login. Super user-friendly site. It will tell you everything you need to know about your tour. When I open up mine, it always tells me you've got 4 months and 5 days before we travel. So everything you need is there. It'll give you your to-do list. It will tell you what's missing, what's included. Anything that you need to find, you should be able to find on that EF Tours page. It's personalized for you. And if there is something you cannot find, or you need to change up something, or you need to change your credit card for your automatic payment or anything like that, call the 800 number for the EF Tours. They're absolutely amazing. They're on it. They'll have you taken care of in just a few minutes. Passport is down at the bottom, and I also sent you an email with a link directly to the passport information. I would say it's just as easy to go back to that email that I sent you, hit that link, and you can enter all of your passport information. We had some people jump on a few minutes into the presentation. So to make sure you're clear, you do have to have that passport before you travel, but we do need it for booking a ferry from France to England. And we have to have that before we depart. So if you need to expedite a renewal or expedite your first passport, make sure you've got that in your hands at least a month. You need to have it in February when we meet for our last pre-departure meeting. Okay, so here's some information as we get ready for holiday shopping. Literally, when we are traveling, we will not be checking luggage. I'm going to say it again. We are not checking luggage on our way to Europe. So the bag that your child travels with must be small enough to fit in the overhead compartment of an international plane. We are not checking any baggage. And the reason is so many issues with lost luggage with all of the airport transfers we're going to need to do. So the worst case scenario is we have a student who checks a bag, we show up in Paris and the bag doesn't get there, and it literally does not show up before we get back home. We don't want a kid without a bag. We don't want a kid without, clothing and shoes and raincoats and whatever else they need. So we're going to bring everything with us on that flight. with us in our own control the entire trip. So it has to be a suitcase that is going to fit in the overhead compartment. That's usually a 19 to 21 inch bag. I would give you a encouragement to have it be a roller bag. I know we've got a lot of duffel bags and things like that that you can sling over a shoulder. I will tell you, your child is going to be responsible for their own luggage. Rolling is hugely important. We're going to walk a lot from airport to airport, from airports to buses, from buses to hotels, and there will be some standing and waiting. So we want to make sure that that bag is going to be as easy to maneuver as possible. Here's an idea, because I've had students say, well, what am I going to do with all of the things that I want to buy? You're going to hear me say this is an experiential trip. We absolutely want you to be able to buy a souvenir, but we don't want you to use this as a shopping trip. So the focus of this should not be to go consume things other than knowledge, insights, culture, food. That's what we want you to consume. So if you are thinking, I really want to figure out a way to bring some souvenirs home, or some sweatshirts, or whatever you might want to buy, what I would suggest is get a bag that folds down very flat, that you could actually put in your suitcase for the trip to Europe. On the way back, if you want to put whatever you need into your suitcase, you could check your bag on the way back to the US for your return flight. If it gets lost, you're not going to be held up. You're going to be home. You're going to be able to, you'll have clothes at home that you can use, shoes, whatever else. So if you want to check something on the way back, that's your prerogative. On the way there, we will not be checking any bags. So flying internationally, you'll get to check one bag for free. Again, on the way back, I just can't stress it enough. We're not going to check anything from US to Europe, from Europe back. If you want to check when you can. And remember, everybody gets a personal item. Typically, that's a backpack or a tote bag or something like that. So you will be able to take your suitcase and that personal item when you travel. Oh, there goes my light again. I'm not moving enough. Hang on. Isn't that crazy? Okay. So, and again, you're going to get a copy of this, so you'll be able to look at it with your student if your student isn't here. Make sure that you have money, and this could be a great gift. So if you need to buy a suitcase for your child, if you need a roller bag, if it's a student getting ready to go to college in the next year or two, that could be a fantastic gift that they're going to get a lot of use out of. If you are going to borrow a suitcase, this is a good time to get a hold of it and make sure that that works. For money, it is a good idea to make sure that your child has euros and British pounds in their possession, or that you have a plan for them using a card, either debit or credit, while they're traveling. So remember, you're going to need 88 euros by February. That's above and beyond any of the other spending money that you're going to send with them. So it might be a great Christmas, Hanukkah gift if you're going to want to give them some money for the holidays. Shoes. I will tell you from personal experience, comfortable shoes are an absolute must. And they can be expensive. So if you need to put that on the shopping list and get a nice pair of shoes for your child to walk in, I will tell you, on the trip I just came back from in Europe, the shortest day I had was 21,000 steps. That's the shortest day. On my Apple Watch, that's 10 miles for me. So I walked 10 miles every day. And that was, up and down stairs over kind of cobblestone terrain. So make sure your child knows there's going to be a lot of walking on this trip. Good shoes are the absolute key. We don't want blisters from day one. That makes everything much more miserable. And then the last thing that could be a good gift would be a rain jacket. We're going to be on the coast of France in Normandy and in London in the spring. And if you have a waterproof jacket, a windproof jacket, they will be much more comfortable and be able to enjoy their trip and be out and about. If the rain starts falling from the sky, we've got them covered. So all of just some ideas of things that they will absolutely need while we are traveling. You might be able to work those into holiday gift giving. So there you go. Okay, before I let you go, we're right at 5:30. Let me go through some questions real quick. Can you send the link for the roommate? The one in the email will not work. It will not work because you're not, if you're signing in as a parent, you don't have access. It's protected for MSDLT. So the student is the only one that can get in and open that. Encourage your student to open up their account with you. They can log in and you can do it together, but you will not be able to access it on your email. It has to be through your student's LT account. Do the students need euros or can they use debit credit cards? Yes, they can use debit or credit cards. What I would do is call your bank ahead of time to find out if they have any transaction fees. There are some credit cards that don't charge any, but it might be worth calling ahead or even setting up a debit card that you can utilize for them while they're in Europe that avoids some of the fees. I will tell you, there were ATM machines on every corner. So it would not be hard if your child has an ATM card to be able to get the currency wherever we are, to get euros when we're in France, to get British pounds while we're in the UK. So either of those, whatever works best for your family, have a discussion, check with your bank and see what is probably the best fit for you. How many students are signed up? Okay, are you ready for this? 72. We have 72 students. And on the trip I just went on for training, they wanted us to come because we had so many students. The next biggest group was 41. So we've got a lot of kids going. It's so exciting. It's just awesome. I cannot tell you how excited I am to take all of our kids with us. Just makes me squeal with delight. I can't wait. So we have 11 chaperones. And every chaperone will have 6, 7 students right in there. So that's how many are going right now. How do breakfast and dinners work? Breakfast will be at our hotels every morning, and dinners will be at different restaurants wherever we are. So in Paris, Normandy, and London, we will be at different restaurants that EF Tours works with to give us opportunities. And they'll be in main areas. They'll be downtown, in places and locales that will allow our students to be right in the thick of things. Because we are taking 72 students and 11 chaperones, what we basically will do is have 2 buses. One will start at point A, the other will start at point B, and we will work our way to the other location. So because some of those places will be small and tight, we may not all be at the same hotel. We may be at 2 separate hotels. If we can all be accommodated at one hotel, we'll all be there together. Same thing for restaurants. But when we're taking 82, 83 people, without question, we're going to have to be divided up or eating in a staggered schedule. So all of that is coming together with EF Tours, and they're amazing. Like, this is what they do. So they'll have it all ready for us. Okay, let me tell you what else. I apologize if I missed this, but what airlines are the students flying with? So we don't have our airline reservations yet. I did share at the beginning that because Indianapolis is more of a regional airport, it is very likely that we will be dividing up our travelers into probably 3 groups, so that we will depart Indianapolis in a group will, and this is all conjecture. I don't have these as, I'm using this as an example. There will be a group that goes to, say, JFK. There will be a group that goes to Newark. There will be a group that goes to Philadelphia. There will be a group that goes to Atlanta. So there will be a whole group of us that will travel from Indy to that next gateway airport. And then from that airport, we will all go to probably Charles de Gaulle in Paris, Charles de Gaulle or Orly. We'll show up at one of those. Our whole group reconvenes. We get together when all of the flights land, and then we continue on with our tour director out to our buses. So we will have our flight information coming up soon. If you jumped on late, we do have our dates of travel. It will be March 24th through March 31st, the 24th through the 31st. Other than the airport, is the group splitting up any other time? So we'll be split into buses, and within those buses, each of our chaperones will have a group of 6, 7, 8 students, and those groups will be the smaller check-ins for each of our buses each day. So we just want to make sure we've got an adult connected to all of those kids. So we will have an adult with those students, The adult will check in with the bus leader. I'm going to be one of the bus leaders. And then the bus leaders check in with the tour director so that we keep everybody connected. And we will have an opportunity to mix and mingle to make sure that kids get an opportunity to see their friends. If their friend isn't in the same group, but they're on the same bus, that won't be a problem at all. We'll all be together doing everything throughout the day. How will the additional tours and excursions work? Once we have a final list of all of the students who are going to do, let's say, Versailles in Paris, we will put together the group that's going to travel there with the chaperones that will accompany them. The students who are not going to do the excursion will probably have a walking tour, or we'll do something in that city. So we do something in Paris that we wouldn't get to do otherwise. I've got my fingers crossed to get to the catacombs. I've been to Paris a couple of times and I've never been able to get down there. So we'll kind of play it by ear and see what's available. And that sometimes can be a shopping trip, or it can be going out for gelato, or it can just be something else that allows students who aren't doing the excursion to have an alternate experience without that additional pay. Do we get to choose which bus we're on? No, you do not. So your bus will basically be determined based on the chaperone groups. So we have those divided up to try and keep balance between the two buses. And I'll share that out with you as soon as we have our confirmation about our flights, so that you know which bus you're on. Can kids request to be with specific groups of friends? They were able to do that with the roommate request. So that we will, and I'll leave that live through today. So if they have a roommate that they would like to try to get connected to, again, I say one more time, my disclaimer, I cannot guarantee I can get them with everybody that they request, but I know we can get them with at least one person they request. So again, when we've got 72 kids we're traveling with, we just need to make sure safety is first. We've got everybody attached to an adult. And then secondly, we'll make sure that we get everybody as best we can connected to their friends in friend groups. Can we get phone numbers from the staff? Absolutely. So once we publish for you the chaperone groups, we'll tell you which students are with those chaperones, and that is not a problem at all. We'll basically create a group chat with the chaperone and the students who will be assigned to that chaperone. We want to make sure we've got good communication all the way around. And speaking of that, just do a double check with your phone provider. I am a Sprint T-Mobile, and literally every time I travel, I show up, and as soon as I land, it says, "Hey, welcome to Rome." And my texting is free. I can make calls to my US numbers for free. I cannot call internationally without a charge, but it's like $1 a minute, I think. I don't think I've ever had to make an international call while I've been there. Texting works beautifully. So just for your own peace of mind, make a check with your cell phone provider to make sure that you've got that covered. Verizon will allow you to pay, I think it's $10 a day for unlimited data, Wi-Fi access. So look to see what is necessary to make sure that your child's cell phone works and that you can have access. And remember, we're going to be ahead about 5-6 hours. So your child's probably going to be really busy and out doing stuff. What we're going to ask them to do is maybe check in with you when they get back to the hotel that night, so that you can get a quick update on their day. But that they're, our goal is going to be that they're not looking at their phones, that they are looking at where they are and they're interacting with people and they're having an opportunity to be immersed in the travel that you're paying good money for them to do. So we're going to try to get them to put phones away and really focus on that and connecting back in with people later in the day too. Do the roommate requests determine the groups? Yes and no. So roommate requests help us get started, but it's kind of a puzzle, a balancing act to figure out that we split boys and girls, and that our chaperones are split. It's kind of a whole thing to make sure our buses are balanced, and the buses will determine all the groups that are going together. There is an app for EF travelers. What is the access code so we can log in? You should not need an access code when you log into the EF page. You'll just put in your information. It'll pull up your trip. So if you have any issues with that, let me know. Will the kids have their passports stamped? Absolutely. That's the best part of traveling. I love it. So when we land, they'll have to go through passport control when we get into France, and when we exit from London, they will also have to go through passport control. When we come back to the US, they'll have to do it one more time. So they are going to be expert. They're going to be so confident and such experienced travelers by the time we get home. So yes, super fun. Can't wait to have them with stamps in their passport and travel experiences to share for a lifetime. Just can't wait. That's going to be awesome. Okay, let me make sure I haven't missed anything. That's the end of my questions. Again, if you have anything else that you need, do not hesitate to shoot me an email. Let me know what I can help you with. Whatever you want, let me know. Can't wait. We're going to be rolling here before long. It'll be here before you know it. Because again, it's already Thanksgiving this week. I can't believe how that has snuck up on me. So just super excited. I'm thrilled. Thank you so much for picking travel for your kids. I love to travel. I cannot wait to go. And I know we've got so many of them that this will be the first time that they're traveling internationally. And I feel honored that I get to be with them for them to experience that. So thank you so much. Look forward to another meeting coming up in December for a check-in. And as soon as I get information, I will be happy to share that. One more thing. Do make sure when you put in all of your information that names are typed accurately, spelled accurately, birth dates, all of that, because all of your travel documents that will be international are going to be taken from what you enter. So just double check before you hit submit on any of your passport, all of that. Okay, thank you so much. I promised I would get you out of here, and I answered some questions. We're a little late, so thanks for hanging in there, and have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you soon. And yes, happy travels. Bon voyage to us here very quickly. Bye. Thank you.